The government's announced the construction of the Sizewell C nuclear power plant will cost around £38 billion. A deal's been struck with a group of investors to finally greenlight the development of the long-awaited project since it was first earmarked way back in 2010. Will Tallis has joined us to talk us through it. So what exactly was announced today?
Yeah, so the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, finally signed off on these plans this morning. The Sizewell C project will cost, as you say, around £38 billion, which is actually almost double the $20 billion that EDF Energy forecast for this project 5 years ago. And construction on the site in Suffolk will begin next year, and it won't begin producing energy likely until midway through the next decade. So this is going to be part funded by a levy on household electricity bills, meaning energy bills will rise on average by £1 per month per household from autumn for the duration of the construction phase. And the government says this is to avoid borrowing to pay for the costs of the project and then having to pay off the interest on that borrowing for decades to come. So just in terms of who else is involved in this project, the government will be the largest shareholder with a 44.9% stake. Other investors include Canadian pension fund Caisse with a 20% share. The British energy company Centrica has a 15% share, and French energy giant EDF will hold around 12.5% ownership. And the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has also been out and about this morning, Charlene, pushing this announcement. She says this foreign investment shows the UK is a global hub for nuclear energy. She also says Sizewell C will power the equivalent of 6 million homes and create around 10,000 jobs. And the other point, Charlene, that the Chancellor has been pushing is that since Putin's war in Ukraine, energy prices have shot up. And she says another nuclear power plant in the UK could help us be more self-sufficient with our energy. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Really excited today to be able to announce the final investment decision for Sizewell C. This is something that politicians have spoken about for years, and today we are actually delivering. This is a public-private consortium. We as a government are putting in money, but that means that government taxpayers can get a return on that investment. But it's also backed by EDF, by Centrica, the owners of British Gas, and by one of the big Canadian pension funds. So this has got both public and private backing, and it's possible because of the decisions that I made in the budget and the spending review to boost our energy security, to invest in cleaner, cheaper energy, so that we're not at the mercy of foreign dictators for our basic energy needs anymore.
Well, Rachel Reeves is clearly happy about this development, but not everyone is.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Charlene. So it's probably fair to say that this project hasn't been without controversy. Hundreds of environmental campaigners gathered on the Suffolk coast last month to protest the plans over fears it would be damaging to the environment and to wildlife. The government would say in response to that nuclear energy is a clean energy source. It produces close to zero carbon emissions, and Sizewell C will help Britain reach its net zero targets. But some of those protesters I just mentioned called for renewable energy production to be prioritised. Here's what one of them had to say over the plans.
Sizewell C is far too slow, risky and expensive to be the solution to our climate emergency. There are lots of other ways we could get energy security.
Now, you mentioned earlier the fact that this project has been a long time coming. They've been working on this a while, haven't they?
Yeah, a long time coming, to say the least, Charlene. So it was actually, you can trace it back to 2008. Gordon Brown, when he was Prime Minister, said that the UK needed to up its nuclear capacity. And then in 2010, the Conservative Lib Dem coalition, which kind of feels like ancient history now, doesn't it, listed Sizewell as a potential site back then. And then 2 years after that, in 2012, EDF Energy started consulting with locals. And then it wasn't until 2020 that they submitted their development consent order. That order was then granted in 2022 after the planning inspectorate raised environmental concerns. And there's more to this. A protest group then took the government to court. And then in 2023, the court ruled the government's approval of the site was legal. So in short, this has been the best part of 2 decades in the making and raises questions again about Britain's ability to deliver big infrastructure projects. We all know about HS2. That was mostly scrapped, after billions of pounds and loads of years planning and constructing that rail network. But after today's announcement, Ed Miliband said that this shows it's time to do big things and build big projects in this country again.
All right, well, thanks very much.